a little bit. But I think I was late yesterday, so I'm making up for it. I don't know if the audio is working, but we shall see. I also don't remember where I left off or what I did last. Hello, Jaku, welcome in. I also saw a very, very, very early, and I hope you both are well. um. All I remember is reading stuff in this game to let myself calm down before the scary stuff happens. I think I still remember how to fight. You just throw granadas, right? And I have guns, but I should not kill people. Though I am curious what will happen if I do kill somebody. Will I have to take their body away? Or will it turn that spot into a BT zone? Who knows? I'm curious to see what will happen. So maybe we're gonna kill someone today for science. Yeah? Shall we? Shall we murder someone for science? Wait, hold on. Let me get comfortable. I have to sit like a shrimp. What's taking so long? Or not? It's been a while and the game's like, I don't remember how to play either. You'll want to make a save before that is all I'm gonna say. Listen. I make saves and then I've never loaded. I've never done... What? I've never loaded a save. Except for the one that the game automatically does for me. What if I accidentally What if I kill someone and then the game saves over my save? I need to see first how that works. Oh my goodness. We're at 15%. What's happening? I should have preloaded before starting stream. I thought I was like, I'm gonna like remember the controls for the 5 minutes of earliness that I have. Nope. Game said nope. Okay, we're at 28%. I had a horrible night last night. I could not sleep. And then I woke up at 3 a.m. And then when I finally was ready to fall back asleep, Latte started making biscuits on my ribs. It's her preferred spot for making biscuits. Her world famous latte biscuits. Hello game, what's happening? Okay. No visitors. No visitors. Okay. Okay. Let's remember how to play. I have a lot of weapons. Let's look at the terminal. Maybe there's something we gotta read. Nothing to read. That's it. That's all. I really don't know. Like, I don't even know where I left off. What part of America are we? Orders. Are we in the distribution center? City center? Oh boy. What if the roads that we built are gone? I would cry. Alright. I think there's something to customize with our backpack. What is it? What? What is it? Oh, the new patches. Right. We're fine. I'm keeping all of the all of the granadas. Shall we choose something cool? Nothing new. Maybe it's time we do this. Sunglasses. Fancy, fancy sunglasses. Can we wear them both? Or does he take one off? It makes him look like a superhero. Put on the hat too. We can wear them both. I didn't. What? This whole time. Okay, we're going out like this. You ready, BB? Let's go. All I remember is holding down left and right click to keep steady and stuff. Okay. I remember also that we've already watched all of Mads's hallucinations. So, yeah, we've watched that twice now. Hello, Panther. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, we have a little cart. I wish I knew what I was doing. It looks like we don't have anything. A road you rebuilt was used by someone else. Nice. Hope you have a great stream. Thank you. Audio doesn't work. I see. All right, let's fix that. How about now? Does this work? You hear him grunting. Let's access this terminal. Orders. Now it works. I see. I see. Oh, we're not at the city. We're at... Okay, okay. I want you to take this to... Fragile? Oh, we're going to South now, aren't we? Why does this look heavy? Take this. Go, my little robot minions. Wait, is this the robot minion? Wait, wait. That's not the robot minion. Hold on. Oh, wait. It's this one. I can't deliver any. Whoa. Okay. What are our orders? Oh, that's right. We have to go to the new spot. They were... I'm trying to remember. It was something about building a new place up there. Which means we would need to go here. Deliver all 5 containers of building materials. That sounds heavy. So we should take a truck? Or do you think a bike would be better? Maybe a truck. Maybe... What do we have? We have 1 bola gun, 1 anti-BT handgun. This is personnel stuff. We have 2 assault rifles, 5 granadas, 1 regular grenade. Why do we have so much? I kind of want another BT handgun. What did it recommend? Did it recommend anything for me? I don't know. I feel like this is more than enough to handle Higgs's people. Higgs, I remember Higgs. But we used this against like the hallucinations in that one thing. In the fight against Mads. The veteran, I think is what it was. Would we still need this? vehicle. I wanted... Apparently I don't have a truck. I guess we'll just... I guess we'll just use that. I'm gonna regret this, aren't I? On my back. Can I carry it on the... Oh! Okay, that's not too bad. Anything that isn't full should go. I think this is fine. This is fine.
Order assigned.
Okay, so we're going north. I think we'll take... How do we go north? Maybe we'll go to the craftsman. That guy loved us. We'll go up to the craftsman, we'll take the road, and then we'll... There's a generator here. I feel like they want me to go there, but what is that? Mules? There's also all that trash. Now, why would you do that? F to use vehicle. E to carry stuff on my back. I feel like I've had this problem in the past.
Have a pleasant journey. Have a pleasant journey.
F to punch horse. Do not F the horse. I'm gonna put it in here. On back. Yeah, and then this can also go there. Yeah. Now we're carrying less. There we go. Hold on, let me turn off eye saver mode so I can actually see what I'm playing.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
So there's still no road here. My road is still built. Oh. Oh. You're joking! Off to a good start. Wait. My bike. How many times have I crossed this and been fine? Is it gone? Is it gone forever? Okay. This heckin' stupid bike. Off to a good start. It's already damaged. Let's see if I can get it back. You're joking. How in the heck? How in the heck? Listen. Is it gone for good? Is it gone for good? Cannot use. Hey guys, I'm back. Hey guys, it's gone. It's gone. I mean, at least it happened like right outside the base, you know. Out of Hey guys, number one porter here. I just don't understand. We've crossed that little creek like so many
Beginning
times.
scan. Scanning Bridges ID. Verifying ID.
How did that
Clear.
happen?
Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure.
I'm
All
being
clear.
sabotaged.
Welcome,
I'm just
Sam Porter Bridges. Decontaminating
so...
suit. All clear. Welcome,
They passed
Sam
it.
Porter Bridges.
They were like, this game is too easy for her. Let's make it a little harder. You know what? Wait, it said it's been pulled out of the river? What? What? Wait. What? It was like reverse strike has been pulled out of the river. Is it back here? Is it back there? Should I... Huh? Come, Stinky baby, does that dare you? I'm a little stinky, I guess. Let's see, should I just make... truck. Should I just make a truck? Long range level 1, long range level 2. Excuse me, sorry. Should I just make a truck? I feel like, personally, I feel like we should just make a truck. Well, okay, they gave us this defensive one, but like, why? Battery will drain very quickly when the truck is in water. Okay, but what about... reduces the truck's cargo capacity but provides a powerful field. I feel like they unlock that right at this time for a reason. Like, we're gonna need to be bunkered down, you know? So so yeah, people are gonna shoot at us. So we should make this. Even if it means less space, it should be fine. Private locker management? No. Of course we have to change the colors. Purple dinosaur. Wouldn't this be cool? Wouldn't... Nope. 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 Man. These colors are atrocious. Let's go with this.
Stand clear.
A vehicle.
Vehicle ready.
Jeebus. Hey. Cargo menu. Can you fit? It fits. Watch me not be able to put anything else in there. It fits. I also fit. Lovely, let's go. Why is the color not the same as his hat?
Have a pleasant journey. Have a pleasant journey.
Alright.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
We must go. There's my bike, my traitorous bike. I'm gonna leave it there. You've had your chance. It's the truck. Oh, okay, wait. Ah! Why does it just go on its own?
I wonder if anyone's watching.
Is anyone watching? Sam Porter Bridges would like to know. Yes! One more skip. One more hop skippity. No one's built this. It just needs ceramics. Okay, someone built like a tiny little bridge. Oh. Oh. That was for the craftsman and I'm kind of headed there, but it wasn't like big, you know? So I'm just gonna leave it. This one's almost done too.
Okay, there you go, speed demon.
Just a little bit. That one's almost done. If we find ceramics, let's finish that one. Okay. On the road again. Wow, it's kind of slow. How do you give people boosts? Craftsman. Film director. Was there someone else we didn't get? Did we get the film director? Look, a truck! And it's the same color as ours. Rather curious. Ooh, wait. Oh, no, that's really far.
Safe travels.
Safe travels. Thank you.
What can't you do?
Ooh. Why did that flash? It kind of gave me... kind of hurt my eyes. It's like the same as ours! Wait, how do you get that blue? Is it blue? No, it's kind of greenish. How do you get... That's a nice color.
Someone's happy.
Okay. Is there no, watchtower? Somebody jumped from up there. That's crazy. Y'all are crazy. No, you're joking. I don't even know where to go. I don't even know if this is the path. Do I even have materials? Please stop raining while I'm in my... I have one ladder, one climbing anchor, and then the rest are weapons. Oh boy, this is not gonna go well. Can we just fight? Can we just fight? No, actually, you don't see me. Actually, it's fine. I'm not here. Actually, it's fine. You know. Oh, that rain was heavy. We're just gonna go straight up. There's a voice in the back of my head saying, Ellie, no matter how much you try to avoid it, the game wants you to do things their way. We're gonna go up that. That looks scalable. Truck OP. I just find it funny that we went from a game that was like bone dry desert sand, no water, to one where we're scared of the rain actually. Oh my gosh, we made it! Oh my god, that was so easy! Wow!
Bridges ID.
I love the truck.
Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. Cargo verified.
I love the truck. Hey, we're here. Easy. maybe the game is cheesable. Alright, complete order. I didn't damage it too much. I kind of just fell into the river, but it's fine. You know, it's not even timefall water. It's regular water.
Delivering cargo.
Who are you?
Oh,
Whoa.
you must be Sam Bridges. That one-man expedition team? We may be cut off up here, but word still travels. We've heard all about the Great Deliverer. The
Great
BT
Deliverer.
Buster, the terrorist,
Stopper.
I'm still working on that last one. Well, I'm just stoked to meet you, man. So, what you got for us?
I don't know.
Whoa, incredible. This will be a huge help. Thanks. You're not gonna even recognize the way station when we're through.
Ooh, but now we'll see what everybody... Breathe in. Was there supposed to be a song that played then? And I just skipped it? Haha. What's this? How damaged was that? 77% damage. Nice. The world's most popular porter reached a total of 50,000 likes. Don't know what this means. Yes, yes, yes.
All right. All we need now is to get Jack into the network. Am I right?
You right. I don't know if purple's his color. Do we know what that game is about, Jackie? The one that I linked, the YouTube video? It's a very striking purple. It is. I mean, all the other colors are very super saturated. Whoa. Nice. Way station north of Mountain Knot City. Mountain Knot. Armor plate? Why are they giving us armor? Seems to be first person from the trailer. It's spoopy. I'm curious though. 3D scanned environments? Very realistic. I saw the graphics. It was kind of cool. And then the person's eyes started to turn strange. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Non-lethal assault rifle. There we go. Interview data acquired. The history of the Adradak. BTs come in all shapes and sizes. Ooh. Wait, this region's big.
Man, it sure feels good to be part of the UCA for real. We've been literally marooned on an island for way too long. I can't wait to reconnect with everyone at HQ. Patching up this place is gonna take some work, but I'm feeling revved up and ready to go like never before. We won't let our country down. Thanks, Sam. And good luck out there. Not that you need it. You're gonna hit the West Coast before you know it.
Good work, Sam. Next, you need to extend the network to the distro center north of the city. Now would be a damn good time to do it, too, as they just sent out an SOS call. Info's still coming in, but it looks like there's been an accident, and we've got injured in need of assistance. Check the delivery terminal for details.
Well, SOS. Surely that's urgent and we need to go immediately, right?
Terminal for further information.
But it's raining, guys. I want to do this myself. Man, This would have been easier when there was a lot of people playing, huh?
Deploying autonomous delivery bot.
E-skip, e-skip. Urgent. That looks far. It looks like mules. Ooh, no BTs though. Mules. Whatever this is. How do I see what? How do I see? Okay. Cliff? River? That should be fine. I mean, we have this whole place, like, laid out. So we should be able to, like...
That's armor for your shoulders and legs. The downside is that you won't be able to carry cargo on top of it. You'll have to weigh the pros and cons.
Okay. I feel like we're gonna need armor if they're giving it to us now. Shall we get the gold? It's fine. We're not going in there with anything. And then one of these, just in case. It looks like if it's an SLS and people are injured, then there's probably fighting there and we should go in armed. And we don't want them to die. So we should not have lethal, right? I have one bullet gun and then a non-lethal assault rifle. It should be. I feel like we might need a ladder. No. There will be ladders. People will put down ladders.
Remember, Sam, when the clock's ticking, speed is what...
Oh, sorry.
Review your gear and bring only what you need to make it to your destination as fast as possible.
Right. Like a truck, right? How do I put this on? What? I have to craft one for each? Bruh. Alright, which limb do I care about the least? That, I guess. Can I auto-arrange this? Okay. Okay. It looks like I don't need anti-BT because there's no BTs there. But you never know. Actually, I'm gonna keep it on. Just in case. Why do I have ceramics on me? Huh? Okay, you can go into the truck. He said, don't bring stuff that you won't need. And there's no BTs. That's fine. That's fine. We should be fine.
Order assigned. Delivery parameters updated.
So you watched almost the entire trailer? No. No. I watched none of it, actually. I saw a clip of the person's face and that's it. We're going here. Yep. Straight line, because that's how mountains work.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
How's there no charging? Oh gosh. You can do it, truck. I believe in you. Man, that's a steep mountain. Oh, hey, a bridge. But it looks like it leads... right. A very useful bridge that leads straight into a, straight into a wall, actually. Very nice placement, y'all. I wonder how many likes that has. 3,800. Oh, falling rocks. Let's go to where this other truck... oh gosh. Wait, that's a boulder.
Still got it.
I lost my trail. Where am I going? Is that my line where I'm going, or... watch there be like an easier way to go. Is that a creamery? Please don't throw a rock at me. I'm actually quite friendly and don't deserve rocks to the face. I don't need it. I don't need it. Oh, it hurts to walk away from that, but I don't need it. You know? Ooh, yeah. I wonder if somebody put this here because they also went straight. Followed a straight line. Mm-hmm. This is absolutely how you drive a truck. Hey, truck, what are you doing? Oh, that's a... okay, wait a minute. They don't see me. They see me. I negated that! Oh no, that's not the road. If we drive through the forest... I'm getting shot at. Okay, there we go. Non-lethal assault. Where's my bola gun? It hit the hecking... why are you shooting me? They're being mean. Oh my goodness, that hurts. Like actually. Will I lose my truck? Get in. Oh! It's like broken. Where did that attack come from? Can I run from them? What is that? What is that now? Hey, so... I don't know where to go and I'm scared to go into my inventory. I made it
Sam,
through.
we're thinking you ran afoul of a local terrorist cell.
Yeah.
Former mules who took a turn for the worse. Stealing cargo doesn't do it for them anymore. Mayhem and destruction are their drugs of choice now. But you didn't give them the satisfaction.
So
You kept
rude.
your cargo safe.
Did
Great
I?
work. I doubt you've seen the last of them, though. Keep your eyes peeled, huh?
Well, it's a good thing it's right there. I was like... Did I just hang up on him because my... Because my truck's battery is low? Nobody's done this one. Y'all. This truck was supposed to be immune to shocks. I think it took a lot of beating before it
Beginning scan. Scanning Bridges
gave out.
ID. Verifying ID.
If you hear galloping in the back,
Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked
whoa!
until departure.
What
Cargo
are
verified.
these?
Thank you.
Come on now, truck. Don't be jealous.
Decontaminating suit. Battery low. Please charge vehicle.
Yeah. Man, they were shooting me. Wrong button. Make delivery. Here you guys go.
Thank you so much. Our med team should have no trouble patching him up now.
Oh, I thought
You're
he
a
was
lifesaver.
Pedro Pascal.
I can't believe how fast you were. Hey, watch yourself out there. You're shame to lose someone with your skills.
I kind of want to go back there and take them all on. Hey, no damage though. Courier.
Wasn't an accident, by the way. It was an attack. Someone slipped explosives into a parcel we processed. Separatist assholes think this land is theirs for the taking. They may be right. Any one of us could have handled that package. Fuck me. We have to be more careful. Beef up our security.
I mean, if they
least we
die,
didn't
it
lose
just
anyone
turns
this
into
time.
BT territory,
Thank
doesn't
you,
it?
Sam. Really?
Not for them.
I hear the chiral network is coming along. You think
Yeah.
the signal's strong enough to reach us here? Oh, I hope so.
Absolutely.
Give it a try. Huh?
It turned into a crater, right? A crater full of BTs. They can't do anything there. It's not theirs for the taking, it's theirs for the losing. We're getting close. Assault rifle level 2. Yes, to kill more things with. I haven't even used the first one. Non-lethal assault rifle. Okay, we'll take that to the camp. Near-death experience. Interview data. We have interview data. There's less and less stuff here. This is around the time people stopped playing, I guess. America's almost saved. Did people finish this game?
It worked. Oh,
What if we get to the
that's
end and
great.
there's no help?
We've been starving for info. And if we run into any more trouble, we can get the word out sooner. I can't thank you enough.
This distro center is like rough.
All right, Sam. There aren't any more stops to make before Mountain Knot City. But this last leg will be the hardest yet. Rest up at the private room and check your gear before you set out.
Your work is
Oh,
great.
they're forcing me to go into my room. Okay. So this is a cutscene. Nobody's made it this far. World's first porter. Please fix my truck. She took a beating. And I did too. Wonder what they were shooting me with. We're back in the beach. Shall I? Whoa! Interesting tattoos. Why does she look happy about that? Dante. It's like the same color gold each time.
Amelie!
Higgs and his people came. They finally reached Edgenaught City. There's no escape for me now. Everyone's dead, the city's destroyed, and what's left is crawling with BTs. They're everywhere.
Where's your Kipu?
But I was able to sneak away and reach out to you. This might be our last chance to talk like this. I just wanted you to know that I'm safe. For now. Promise me you'll keep building the chiral network. It's our only hope for the future. It's my only hope for freedom. And when you've finished, we can go back east together.
Amelie, your Kipu, where is it?
Sam, I'll be waiting for you on the beach.
I don't get it. Is she a projection or not? Because she keeps doing the thing with the loop. Welcome. I really wish he would shower before going to bed. 2 new drills. Should we do the drill? Same? My stuff's deteriorating. Okay, we have stuff to read. Ha 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 ha. Let's do interview data first. Whoops. Okay, history of the Audra deck. From Hartman. Does the name Sigmund Is that how it's spelled? I thought there was an I. Is it Freud? I thought there was an I like right there. Mean anything to you? He was a famous psychologist, the most famous of them all, perhaps. But I digress. That guy formulated one of his most famous theories after observing his grandson playing with a spool of thread. The boy would throw the spool under the bed, thus ensuring that he could not see it anymore. He would then wind the thread in his hand, gradually drawing the spool back towards him until it became visible again. He repeated this process several times. It was apparently a game he played whenever his mother was elsewhere. Freud? I thought there was an I. You pronounced it right? I hope so. Proposed that the process of concealing and rediscovering the spool was a coping mechanism. In a way in which the boy could put his mind at ease. You see, the boy was in control of the spool. He could make it disappear and reappear at will. This made him this helped him to comprehend his mother's absence not as something sudden or irrational, but as something controlled and therefore not a cause for concern. A novelist named Franz Kafka later coined a term for this spool of thread, Audra. However, he conceived it as an object capable of speech and autonomous movement. Really? Mysterious being neither dead nor alive, Audra we use are perhaps not so different. These interfaces through which we experience our BB's perception of their surroundings, are not unlike spools of thread, a connection between our world and the other side, the living and the dead, human and BB. Okay. BTs come in all shapes and sizes. Although eyewitness testimony has led us to identify several types of BTs, perhaps the most interesting of all are entities which may not be BTs at all. The subjects in question bear some resemblance to jellyfish, and are visible even to those without dooms. While we have little information concerning their physiology and behavior, upon detecting the presence of a human, they will attack by rapidly approaching their target before exploding. Have we encountered that yet? Disturbing to say the least, especially given that they appear... It's the thing! Those floating things in next to the pizza guy's place, right? Those? Where am I? Especially given they appear to be impervious to small arms fire, though perhaps we can take comfort in the fact that they do not seem capable of causing void outs. Okay. Our best guess at the moment is that these are subspecies of BTs, one that does not form as a result of a human death. So an animal? Beyond that, they are a complete mystery. Perhaps when the repatriate Sam Porter chooses to join Bridges, we can attempt to develop a means of dealing with this new threat. In the meantime, however, we can but continue to study and speculate. Until relatively recently, death could only be studied from the perspective of an external observer, as the experience of one one's death could not be communicated to another. A collaborative investigation of the phenomenon was fundamentally impossible, and through the examination of subjects in near-death states and the cataloging of their experiences, we have at last been able to bring the scientific method to bear on this most final of frontiers. Even those in a state of so-called brain death exhibit signs of consciousness. What could this possibly mean? Moreover, why do some on the brink of death report out-of-body experiences? Furthermore, why do so many of those who have such experiences describe the same sensations of being beckoned towards a distant light? Many had argued that these commonalities were evidence of an objective reality, of a place beyond life. If nothing else, they at least suggested that death was not an instantaneous change of state, but a process. The beach has since proven much of this beyond a doubt, and the death rising again as BTs through necrosis demonstrates this process in action. The place beyond life is no longer a theoretical possibility. Its existence must be taken as incontrovertible. Wait a minute. New word, incontrovertible. Not able to be denied or disputed. I do like me some fancy new words. Write that down. Incontrovertible. I like it. Okay. That's it, right? Now we have mail. Your partner, Jay. Oh, he has a request. I don't know if we've done the other requests. I got a lead on the third chip, Sam, but there's a catch. I know you're a busy man. Sam the man with important shit to do. Rebuilding America and all that. Sorry. So I farmed this gig out to a freelancer, a pro, like home. A major league pro, on par with you, maybe even better on a good day. This pro went and found it, no fuss. Trouble came afterwards, when he got jumped by some pinche cabrons. on the way back. I haven't heard from him since. Even Eddie's says he's dead in a ditch, and from what I've learned about these void outs, triggered by bodies left to rot in this world, well, you'd better find him ASAP. And don't forget to secure my chip while you're at it. Check at the distro center north of Mountain Knot City and I'll send you the order along with info on the area where he disappeared. Don't let me down, Sammy boy. Sam, my man, I'm counting on you. So, what? I have to find a body? Oh, I have to take him to the incinerator. That's why there's one there. No way stations in Island. To the super honorable Mr. Sam Bridges, it gives me pleasure to report the way station patch-up job went off without a hitch. Latte, stop galloping. That stuff you brought us was just what we needed, man. And now we're part of the network too. No way station is an island, not anymore. You can talk to HQ over on East Coast just like if they were here in the room, which is, that's how we heard those rumors about Central were true. Totally wiped out, huh? Damn. And if you hadn't been there, the UCA's plans would have gone down the tubes. Glad that didn't happen. Keep on keeping on and don't stop till you hit the ocean. Blah, blah, blah. Thanks for saving our buddy. You showed up in the nick of time. I just about given up on our guy Langdon. But he's on the mend now thanks to you. Should be back to work before long, but in the meantime I'll have to cover for him. Don't worry, he knows that he owes you his life. He'll probably be sending you a message to thank you himself soon enough. And if I'm being honest though, it was his own damn fault. An old pro like him shouldn't be letting explosives slip by right under his nose. Yeah, okay. Cut the guy some slack, he's injured. He should know how clever these damn terrorists are getting. Oh, and thanks for connecting us to the chiral network. We're getting a lot more data from the outside world now, and that alone has given morale a pretty big boost. And the printer? It's the icing on the cake. Can't print everything though, of course. We'll be relying on you porters for a good while. Yet. Keep up the good work. Okay, so where's this guy? I think we have to do the training room now. Shall we change our colors? Hey BB, how would you like to not be purple? Not gonna lie, I kinda like the purple. And there's no pink yet, so for our other colors. Maybe we'll do gold. No, but it looks like the liquid. Bright yellow? Do we have bright yellow for the other stuff? Let's do 4. Oh, we don't have bright yellow. No, it's fine. That can stay purple. Maybe will be yellow. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. Let's do the hat. I like the hat. Wait, I can't change the color of the hat. How did we do it? Was it from here? It was from here. Yellow. There's no yellow! Boo! The closest thing we have is gold. Or Bridges orange. Okay, gold hat. Let's do the gold hat. Time is ticking? Oh, right. I am so good at urgent SOSs. Hee hee. Hee hee. What's in my terminal? Oh, the music. Okay. We're going. I like this yellow. It reminds me of a rubber ducky. Is this new?
Back off. Back off! Don't do it!
Nuts! Oh, we're very yellow. We're very yellow. Oh. Yes, hello?
Hey Sam, I have some new info you should hear. Recently recovered thanks to your efforts to expand the chiral network. It concerns BBs. I dug this up on my own, just to be clear. No one ordered me to look. And if anyone asked, put it all on me. No need for you to deal with any blowback. You were just listening to me ramble on the wire, okay? Anyway, it looks like Bridges wasn't the first to bring back BB tech. It was a group of separatists. Terrorists opposed to UCA expansion, according to the records. They started using them about 3 years ago. Right around the time Bridges 1 was putting plans in place to head west. Seems these separatists were having trouble with BTs too, and figured that if they could track them, they might be able to steer them into our path. When Bridges caught wind of this, the decision was made to fight fire with fire, to start using BBs as a countermeasure. It's possible yours was commissioned for that very purpose, a fact I think someone may have tried to conceal, judging by the absence of BB-28's service record. I always found it strange that we were so willing to utilize technology we barely understood. Now we know why. We've been aping methods and techniques employed by others from the start. There's more you should know. It's about the original Bridge Baby experiments. Piecing together what little I could find, it looks like they started around the time of the Death Stranding. They were conducted on the island of Manhattan off the East Coast, which was completely and utterly obliterated by what was almost certainly a void out. Back then, these experiments had the full support and approval of the American government. It's all just guesswork, but I suspect the BB program was conceived to help gain a better understanding of the nature of the Death Stranding. However, due to ethical and safety concerns, public opinion was strongly against the program. Still, they pressed on, and in their desperation to make sense of the greatest disaster of their age, I think they caused another. I should also mention that the president himself was killed in the blast. It was after his death, when he was succeeded by then Vice President Strand, that the experiments were suspended by executive decree. Documents were shredded, facilities were decommissioned, and every effort was made to pretend that BBs had never even existed. Which begs the question how some random separatist group was capable of resurrecting the tech decades later. I'll let you know if I turn up anything enlightening.
Sam, check the delivery terminal and review the list of orders.
Okay. I feel like I blacked out just now. He just kept talking.
The people of Mountain Knot City have a pressing problem that needs to be addressed. A tar-like substance has been bubbling up from beneath the ground near them. They're seeing more of it by the minute, and it won't be long before it spreads into the city.
This?
There have already been reports of ejecta inside the outer walls.
Ejecta?
If nothing is done, the whole city might be swallowed by a sea of tar in the near future. There's an order from Mountain Knot City. Check the details on the delivery terminal.
I can wait. I can wait. I think the body is more important, right? Standard orders. What's this? Missing Porter and Chip. Yeah, we'll do this first. That one's important. Do we need weapons? Offload. You can get into my utility pouch. And I feel like I need armor. I used up a bit of my Ebola gun, but I feel like I really should just get rid of it and start carrying non-lethals. Wait, let me just craft some non-lethal guns. Yep, those. Especially if it's gonna be in that area. Oh, it's big! Have you tried talking to the mules? No. I don't talk to terrorists. I let my bullets do the talking. They've made their choice.
Have a pleasant journey. Good morning.
Spoken like a true American. Ew.
Keep on keeping on.
Okay, gotta go this way. I already feel disgusted with myself for saying that. Okay. Where is that, though? What's this? All the way to the film director? That's far.
Someone's happy.
Where do I need to go? Okay, but like, why is it? Oh. I was like, why is it up the mountain? Alright. These guys are saying there's mules here. How do I make it not alert? Did that work? It's right there. Surely I can climb this, and then I'll just put him on the... Oh boy. This terrain looks rough. It's a good thing it's not raining. This is scalable, right? Right? Why would I need to use stun bombs? Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Truck, turn around. Ah! Okay. It's scalable, trust, I believe. 100%, right here, too. We just need to jump at the right spot. Like right here. Stop, 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 stop! Stop it! Okay. little further up. Truck, listen to me. Obey my command. This feels easier if I was on foot. Yes! Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy. Truck whisperer, Ellie. It will obey. Okay, but where is the ship? Yeah, let's get the ship first. I'll check on you shortly. This doesn't look like a chip. This looks like... I don't get it. How did you get hurt up here? There's like no mules up here. Did you go up here and then decide to croak? Place in body bag. Oh, he's dead! Okay. Can I just... Can I just put him in the truck? Alright, buddy, get in here. Get in here. Get in the truck. Do you think it'll let us? I squashed him! I don't even know how I managed to do that. So how do we know if he's going necro? No, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. In the truck. On assault. Attached to suit. Handgun. I still have everything. All my grenades. I still have everything. I just don't have... Will it not fit? It will fit. Okay, everything's in there. Hey, he's like right next to me. Incinerator, it's just right there. It's just right there. Why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? Where is it? I don't know where it is. Uh-huh. Yep. Nothing will go wrong here. There, that's the incinerator. Right. Yes, absolutely. We just go straight. Smile. shield. Uh-huh. Sure. It's not even raining.
Yeah, I feel you.
Those? We're fine. Are they moving? They're not moving. I can go this way. Surely I can go this way. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, I can go this way. Yeah! Let me in! Where's the entrance? Can I just take the truck inside? What does that mean? Are there gonna be mules here? At least he died close to an incinerator. Imagine dying far from it though. Alright, buddy. Imagine dying. Okay. Well. What's that? Was the mail? Good work, Sam. Looks like I was right. That Porter got because of my chip. And we probably had some good living ahead of him too. Real shame that. But you managed to give him a proper send-off. Since I'm worth it, won't forget it. Anyway, nothing else worth saying. Words don't mean shit to the dead. At least you don't gotta worry about a void out now, which means you can get back to doing your thing and hunting for my chips. There's still more out there. But anyway, he's like, sorry this guy died. Anyways. There's more chips for you to find. Haha. Okay. Can I turn in the chip here? Nope. Not that kind of terminal. Why did they leave their truck here? Okay. Well, I would rather have my weapons on my back. Yep. At least if I get pulled out, I'll have two. But now we can go back. Oops.
Okay.
And do that thing they wanted. Where's the closest? Should we try to fight? I can't. Do I have too many? Too many markers? That why? It is why. Just that way. Why am I hearing things? It says poopy. Oh. Is that one of their markers? I swear there was something there. It looked like one of those things that the mules use to detect you.
Okay, there you go, speed demon.
Oh, we have to go through the mules again. Is there a way up the mountain so we can avoid them? Oregon growth culture. Where are we going? Distribution center north of Mountain Knot City. So we'll ignore everything else. Oh boy. No. Avoid that. A wee little bit late.
Heads up, Sam. Looks like you've tripped an intrusion sensor. To be clear, these sensors react to you, not to your cargo. Be careful. Trouble may be on the way.
Yeah, they're on the way, and I'm stuck. Oh boy, yep, okay. Shall we fight? I think we should fight. I did want to fight them. I did want to fight them. Non-lethal assault rifle. Whoa. What's going on? You guys first. I should have used the thing. Hello? Oh, he keeps putting away his weapon for some reason. Are they using actual weapons, you guys? Just because the incinerator's right there. Wait, change ammo. What's my ammo? Oh, my blood! Okay, so that's what that means. Terrorist boots? What does that guy have? Special alloys? No need. Alright. There's the rest of you. Where? Reload, Ellie Porter Bridges. Should be easier. I need this blood bag. I need it. Take it. Go down real fast. Blood bag empty. Give me this one. Grenade? You guys are reckless. What happens if you lose? What happens if one of you goes down? You think they use the incinerator like we do? I need to get closer to it. What if Gola gun? Oh, there's somebody right here. I have 8 bullets left in this gun. Do you want them? Nice. And now... But first, drop this. And drop this. Ooh, we need more blood bags. which ammo I'm using. Oh my god, I'm missing. Hi, Evan. Oh, right there. This would be perfect for a shotgun. Where are the rest of you? Hi! Potato King, sending lots of love and support. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Porters will temporarily be able to traverse this area. Nice! We did it! These guys were pushing me off. No way. Did I kill someone? Why is it raining? These guys are dead.
Time to move.
Did I kill someone? And now they're... So if they're knocked out and BTs come, isn't that still a risk? Can't believe you've been following since 2020. I remember you. Did you try to commission me in the past, or am I thinking of someone else? 100 medals. There's so much materials here. I'm gonna leave this here so we can loot. Man, these guys are just knocked out in the rain. That's kind of horrible. What if they're like face up, you know?
There we go.
I feel bad. Should put a tarp over them or something. My battery's down. This is a lot of ceramics and I want them. That was someone else? Oh, it's okay. There's many potatoes in the world. Love me some potatoes. What's in here? All potatoes are welcome and good. Agree. What's your favorite kind of potato? I like the waffle kind. Waffle fries. Oh, this one is... I'll take this. Carry on back. Look at all these ceramics! This would be perfect for the... Shoot. I'm bringing my truck here. So this is where all the ceramics are. Speed skeleton chemicals. There's ceramics up there too. What's in here? Maybe in here? All the ceramics are here! Oven potatoes. Top 3 for me, baked mashed and tater tots. I like... Wait, what's baked potatoes? Is that when you just bake it and then you put butter? I like fries. Put this in my truck. This one in also my truck. Pretty much, okay. I know what they look like. I don't know the names of them. I just know they're potatoes and they're delicious. Oh no, I can't talk about food. I'm gonna get hungry. But hello, I hope you're doing well. I hope you've eaten, hydrated, had at least 30 seconds of sunlight and stretched your limbs and made sure all your fingers are still attached to your body.
Let's roll.
Okay, where to? Do you think I can take these? I think... Yeah, I'm going the right way. Distro center. Sorry guys, they're gonna wake up all wrinkled and stuff. My apologies. Truly unfortunate. I hope I can come back. So I want to take these ceramics to my battery. Let's not go through the river then. What is that? Ooh, wait, that's also where we're going. Okay. I may as well. I'll take it. I'll take it. So strange not having any roads here. Wait, there's charging towers right here. I don't know if I'll make it, so I'm just gonna charge right here. Thank you. How do I give you a like from in here?
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. Lovely, thank you very much. My eye is itchy. But yeah, this place looks decrepit, almost. There was a road here once. What do you need? Metals? I can give
stretch my legs.
I can give... I can give chiral crystals. And... should I give ceramics? I feel like I should save these for the other ones that are closer to being built. Oh, that's a lot. Okay, that's more than enough that, you know, I've given. It doesn't complete a road, but we're getting there. Oh my goodness. Our truck. Does glass age? Because everything else looks old except for the glass. Too far from climbing anchor.
Scanning the bridge's ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. Decontaminating Sam. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Okay, we're gonna have this on us. Where do they need us to go? Because I want to go back. Orders. Mountain, not city. We're not going back, are we? Because it's this way. Should we just build the roads that are here? I don't think we're going back. Antimatter bomb delivery. Now why would we be... Now why would we be delivering an antimatter bomb? Handle with care. Avoid impact. Delivery to mountainous area. Now, why would we be delivering a bomb? I don't get it. This is suspicious. Terribly suspicious. Wouldn't you say? Deliver... Right. Deliver this. Why do they want us to deliver a bomb? Why am I holding a bomb again?
Oh, there you are. Everything all right? We really appreciate all your help. I hope you know that.
Thanks. Then again, why is there a bomb here? Did you not learn from what just happened? Jay has upgraded the compass. It can now be used to temporarily short-circuit enemy objects. Okay.
Oh, and whenever it's convenient, you ought to grab this thing I got for you. A token of our appreciation.
Ooh. A gift. Swag? Swag! I want to put it on right now. Johnny glasses? Isn't that from... Isn't that from... Cyberpunk?
Watch your back out there. No one else will.
No one else will. It's a lonely life, this
New
one.
order available. Please access delivery terminal for further information.
We have some lost cargo to deliver to. Wait, was that being entrusted? Was that being entrusted? I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Okay, it was the emergency fuel and everything else. It is from Cyberpunk indeed. Yeah, those glasses look familiar. Cargo has been entrusted to another player. No! That wasn't for another player, that was for me. Memory chip data. Mama!
Thank you kindly, Sam. I'll treasure it.
Yamaha RD. Yup.
Thank you for your contribution.
Mama likes us. Okay. So, I feel like I want to take on this order, but at the same time, oh, it's a bomb. It's so far too. And then there's not gonna be anywhere to dispose of it. Hey, this is like a heart, upside down heart. Like, maybe it'll tell us to take it there. A very hazardous item. Any strong impact may cause it to explode. An alarm will sound when this cargo is at risk. Right. Now to Knot City. To prevent this from happening, you need to transport an antimatter bomb. Swallowed by the tar. Oh. Okay. Got it. I mean... I think we should go to our room first, right? We should take a sit. That's a lot of ceramics. Let's go to our room first. Put on those
Your work
sunglasses.
is greatly appreciated.
Your work is greatly appreciated. More blood. That's right, we don't have any. Please turn on.
Good morning, Sam. Blood collection complete. Thank you for your generosity.
Oh, okay. All good, all good. Where's the sunglasses? Where's the sunglasses? I can't put on the swag. Sorry, not this. The other one. What into heck? It's not here. Did we get it? Just. Boo! Boo! Heckin' game. Give me my glasses. Okay. I think I have letters. I haven't seen the Gordon glasses either. I don't even remember what that is. Got in episode 1. You took the bastards out! I heard you took care of the terrorists in this area. How the hell did you manage that? I mean, those guys have got guns and God knows what else. And they wouldn't hesitate to shoot you dead. I can't believe you took them on, but I'm glad you did. You really are the great deliverer. Thanks to you, I started making a few deliveries again, getting back into the Porter way. Looks like the distribution network will be back to normal before long. I spoke to my parents. You'll never guess what happened today. I spoke to my mom and dad. Not for long, but I spoke to them. First time in 3 years. They live up in Capital Knot City, but there they were, as chirograms floating right in front of me. When I said my goodbyes and left with the first expedition, I thought that would be it for us. They used to have whole ceremonies for folks when they died way back before the Stranding. Not like now. Can't spare a moment before the body is whisked away for incineration. And if you can't make your peace with your loved ones, why put yourself through the pain of sticking around to watch them get sick and fade away? Leastways, that's what I thought until today. Now that I've seen their faces again, I can't help but wonder if the day might come when our work is finally done and I can go back home. Aww. Why is J only 1 stars? I've gotten you so much. Damn, Sam, you're a real trooper. Another chip in the bag, thanks to you. Shame about that Porter, though. He'd still be alive and kicking if he hadn't taken the job. Here's hoping he finds peace in the next life. Of course, that could have been you and had shit gone sideways. Or maybe you'd have rolled with it just fine. I'm sure they don't call you the Great Deliverer for nothing. We got a few greats back home too, legends. Chip had all kind of info on them, but they didn't work for cities or countries. They were slaves for huge corporations, and then some pendejos kicked off a war between the megacorp. A war that dragged everyone and everything into it. Maybe that's how I ended up over here. I don't know. All I've got to go on is a record of a memory, and the V I keep seeing has to be the key to all of it all. V. I can almost feel the letter, touch it. Maybe the more chips I analyze, the more I'll learn. Anyway, I got something for you. Johnny sunglasses. Same design as the pair worn by one of the rocker boys from the Corporal Wars. Had a little more fun with your compass too. Now you can short circuit enemy auto decks. Should maybe make it easier for you to complete your great deliveries. But how do I put them on? Yamaha. Developed as a production replica of the which Kenny Roberts wrote into the history books in the Road Racing World Championship. This was the first mass-produced motorcycle to employ a liquid-cooled V4 two-stroke engine. Sadly, while it became the iconic premium Yamaha two-stroke, it only survived for a single generation. However, there are certain enthusiasts trawling the data brought back online via the chiral network in the hopes of one day reviving this legendary machine. Okay. They sure like their motorcycles. Guess that's it. I wonder, is it somewhere here that I don't know about? Like, is it in the sink maybe? Or is it in like the complex? I'm gonna Google it. Yes, please. Please and thank you. Okay, my truck is like full of materials. We're gonna go there. We're gonna go deliver this. This is the only one. PCC blood bag. We have 4 blood bags. More than enough. We have level 1 non-lethal assault rifle. We have 2 non-lethal assault rifles. There should be another page in the menu. Okay, hold on. I like the defensive truck. I feel like we did the right thing.
Be advised, Sam.
We chose the right thing.
The case for that antimatter bomb was not designed for long-distance transport. The magnetic traps that keep the antimatter sequestered are delicate. A powerful impact, reckless driving, an unbalanced carrier. There are all kinds of ways the traps could fail. Any abnormalities detected within the case should trigger an alarm.
No reckless driving.
If it goes off, you're doing it wrong. And if the bomb goes off, we'll have a disaster on our hands. The kind we can't come back from.
Right, so just be careful. Straight into the truck. I believe in us. I believe in us so much that we should save. Just in case. Alright. Another page in the menu? This one? Oh.
A bridge link is another way of describing the connection between you and another porter. If you want to forge a powerful bond, consider a strand contract.
I'm good. I guess next time we go into the thing. Sounds like a one-man job. Handgun. 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 Yep. What happens if you press 4? It's not even on. What? You can wear a valve, apparently. Whoa! Very cool. Thank you, Jaku. Whoa! Looking pretty cool.
Safe trap. Begin safe trap.
Alright.
Have a pleasant journey.
Safe trap. We can't be doing parkour, I guess.
Keep on keeping on.
No more parkour.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Straight here. Get rid of... Or straight here means a straight line. Yep. How do I... No. T? No. How do I see... How do I see... How do I see the thing again? Looks like I'm out. There we go. I'll be out of the network for a long while, actually. So we're gonna go here. And then we're gonna go here. Got it. Got it, got it. It's raining there. Okay. All good. I see that. Jump straight into the thing. We got this. expected there to be more. Why is it raining? Do not rain. Come on! That took so much of my battery.
Still got it.
What is that? Oh, that's part of... These guys are still asleep, right? Did it work? What? Y'all are joking. They're awake. Let's take care of this. I can't risk this blowing up. Non-lethal. Z, change ammo type. Why are you guys awake? Go to sleep. Don't touch my cargo. I see you. I saw you. That's right. I don't need visuals. I'll take you all on again. Where are you? Oh, don't run me over. How do I hide? Oh, hello. How do I hide? You're joking! Why would you run me over? Get up, 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 get up. We got knocked out! He ran me over! All cargo stolen? They have the antimatter bomb! In a dump site? What? Okay, well that's a first. Don't get run over, I guess. Oh, my stuff is right here still. Huh? I'm moving this closer. Okay, so now we have to find it. Alright, get in here. Not carried. They took it off me? Attached to suit. I guess this can go on in the truck. Handgun. Here's the thing. I want the handgun on me, but I don't like that it's non-lethal. I should just put it away. Offload all these blood bags. Empty blood bags. Cool. That's going on my back. You're going in here. Both of you are going also in here. Okay, so where could it be? Here? Alright. That means we have to go back in. Which means we need our... all these granadas before. What? We might need to go back to this distribution center, honestly. and refuel. Whoops, where are you going? Where are you going? Do we still have the bomb? No, it's gone. They have it in their thing.
Alright, time to move.
We're gonna go back to the distribution center and just... This place needs more bridges. Is this the easiest way? Yes. Okay. Well... Need blood bags? I need weapons. And should I get armor? More armor? I don't know if armor is gonna help with getting run over.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID.
I have never
Verifying
played
ID.
the first slime
Weapons
Isn't it
detected.
fun?
All weapons will be locked and decontaminating soon. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
I need to craft stuff. I got my butt whooped. Help. Fabricate equipment. I don't know. I have 4. Let's make 2. And then weapons. My non-lethal assault. I have 1. Let's have 2. For 4? That makes 4, right? And then... Do I really need... I'll just get 1 more for my other shoulder. Who knows? Do I have enough? These guys don't have that many. On my suit. On my other shoulder. On my tool rack. On my back. Ready! We're going to war! We're going to war! It's somewhat cozy? What does that mean? Y'all, I want fries.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
We talked about potatoes and fries, and now I want fries.
Weapons
Thoughts on
restrictions
sweet
lifted.
potatoes? I have sweet potato fries in the fridge. Freezer. Okay, I'm going. I'm getting it back. I'm just a delivery guy, and these guys are trying to fight me. Jeebus, I'm trying to find like the shallowest spot. Please?
I wonder if anyone's watching.
Is that a delivery? A big delivery too. Ugh. Alright. They were like, you have to time it properly. But when I do time it, nothing changes. So, like... See. Which one's the one that doesn't have this one? I'm back! I'm back! Well, they put it over there. It's like far from here. Where are they? There's a chip here though, so I'm gonna watch them steal my truck. Bro. Wait. They're just running me over! This is non-lethal, right? Go to sleep. Where are you? Where are you? Did you get stuck in the water, loser? Drown. Okay, next gun. Who's shooting me? Non-lethal to the face is still non-lethal, right? Go to sleep. I don't think you want him to drown though. They're not gonna drown. It's fine. Skill issue. It's fine. There's no drowning in this game. Yeah, they'll wiggle the shore. They'll just do what I do. Are you guys okay? He's floating. They float. Perfectly fine. Nothing wrong. Alright. It's not done though, there's more. I want to finish them off. Okay, wait. We'll take the car. Get stuck in the river for 30 minutes and lose all their stuff. Hey, why do I feel like this is no longer about the enemy? Why do I feel like this is no longer about the enemy? Where's the rest of them? There's more. Here you are. Katniss firing shots as well. This. See this? It's gonna be you. Come on, please. Just go down. Yeah! Warriors will be able to traverse this area. Yeah! Heck, you guys. Oh, he's dirty.
Okay.
Don't rain. This isn't the one, but I want to see what's in here because I'm nosy. Excellent non-lethal. Thank you. I'm a professional. Oh. Empty. Offload. stun bomb. We're gonna go get our antimatter bomb. What's in here? Surely there's something special. No, just a blood bag. This was meant for trucks. I'm allowed to drive like this for now. Right.
Okay.
I'm allowed to drive like this because I don't have the bomb on me yet. Okay, into the truck. Ooh. Yoink. Lovely. Now we have to find a good way through.
Right on.
Since these guys are out, we can go through their camp. We can safely go through this way, straight through their territory. Right, right. As long as they stay asleep and this is perfect. See? Okay, where to? I might need to find a charging station. I don't see one. Yikes. What is this? Just a road? A road and a... If I take it in here, will it recharge my stuff? Jeebus, this one's so expensive. I'm not going the right way. How do I remove this? Oh, it's that way? Can I craft here or no? Probably not, huh? Should I charge? Does this not charge? It does not. Okay. Upside down rainbow.
Okay, there you go, speed demon.
If we need to, we will abandon the truck. No, I have a PCC. I will... What does that sound? Is the audio still fine? Why is there a BB sign right here?
Someone's happy.
Oh look, someone's truck. All good things, right? This is the boundary. Shoot. It's just up the hill. It's just up the hill. Across this river and up the hill. There goes the rest of my... Okay, hold on. One sec. Can I? Where's my PCC? I have two! I have two! Can I craft? Can I craft? Can I make something right here? Or do I need to be on the network? I need to be on the network. Alright. We're gonna go back. We're gonna charge. I'm gonna go back right there because that's where the network is. Not that. Not that. Not that. That.
Now
I have two. It's awfully cloudy over there.
patience is a virtue, I guess.
Patience is a virtue.
Construction
So
complete.
is battery charger. Nice. Give me power.
Well,
Yay. Okay. Okay. We should have enough. Immediately lose an inch. Of course it's raining. I mean, this looks like the safest way to go. I'm going the wrong way now. Still going the right way. No, thank you. Uphill, downhill. There it goes. What do you mean? I barely hit it. That was an impact. That was just a minor collision. Okay, no rain. No more raining. What are you? I think it's just taking damage for no reason now. You're joking. 6%. I'm not even colliding with anything. I'm barely colliding with anything. Look! It's right here. Okay, so I just got here. I just got here. What do you mean? I just got here. Of course it would do that. Latest save data? I don't know what the latest save data is. What now? Of course. Is there a closer one maybe? Is there a closer? No, I don't even get to see that tiny bump. Hey, get up. Why are you crouching? Okay, so we have to fight again. That's fine. We have to fight. Did I craft anything? Yeah. Let's do this again. Non-lethal assault rifle level 2. Give me 2. And then I think I had 1 extra armor. And then I want blood bags. Blood bag, utility pouch, please, and thank you. Attached to suit on my other shoulder. This one goes on my back. That one also goes on my back. The handgun. That one's. Ooh. I just dropped everything. Hold on. The handgun. Lethal anti-personnel. That goes in my locker. Okay, we have 1 anti-BT handgun. But a bunch of grenades. I think 3 assault rifles, but this one's almost gone. Oh no, it's fine. I was able to kick butt with it, so I should be fine. Okay, note to self, once we get it back, we gotta save, so I don't have to fight them all again.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
Let's go! We get to kill these guys.
Weapons
Oh, what? I
restrictions
think I'll
lifted.
still go the same route. It seemed fairly simple going that way. Not too difficult. And it didn't take forever either. Where is the closest? I want to say this is...
What can't you do?
Alright, there was 2 cars. And then 2 areas. And then 2 people in the forest too. I'm back. Did I negate it? No. Oh, I did. I'm still coming for you, though. Let's change all of these to... I have a level 1. Non-lethal. Maybe I should have let them scan me, cause then they would have come to me. Sneak archer? No sneaking, I'm here, guns blazing. I'm here with the vengeance! Ah! Alert your people! Ellie is here! Where are they? Hello? There's a data thing too. Jeepers, they're far! Oh, here they are. Surprise! Who's I? Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. You can't run me over if I'm here. taking cover. Can't run me over. Can't run me over. You can't run me over. He's trying to run me over still. I just gotta hide in here. Use your vehicle as cover. What? They're really trying to run me over. That's rude. This guy. Taking this PCC just because I know I'm going to use it later. Where's the rest of you? Where's the rest of you? Over there? Ellie is tired of sneak strats, chooses vengeance. Yeah, when it's time for vengeance, no more sneaking. Prefer a direct approach. I parked so far. We're gonna go look for them. I'm gonna hunt them down. Okay, we're here. Yep. 3? There's 3. One's pushed behind the thing. Oh, God. Serpentine, serpentine, serpentine. It's actually working. Oh no, it's not. Other one, other one, other one. This one. Ew. Go to sleep! Okay. Well. Now we lighten our load. Good enough. Any of you have a spare blood bag? Lovely. Thank you. I think this had an extra gun for me. Professional, non-lethal work. Exactly. Oh, just a blood bag. Okay. No extra gun? Really? Alright, we'll go over there. I think the gun was over there. Or maybe I'm delusional. And I just want a gun. Keep clearing these guys as many times as it takes. Wearing these sunglasses makes me feel dangerous. The spirit of Johnny. I don't even know who that is. But I feel it. There's like no animals, you know? Open sesame! Non-lethal rifle, there it is. I'll get that for you later. Okay. Now, we save. Cannot. Can we save now? Cannot. Cannot save as a threat has been detected nearby. Move away from the threat in order to save. What threat? Is it the bomb? Is it the bomb? Surely not the bomb. Wait, did you save? No. It said move away from the threat, but there's no threat here. I think I have to like get away from these guys first. I think once we're out of their territory, we'll be able to. I just don't know where their territory is. That doesn't count. That did not count. Nice. Other people are playing the game. Cross the bridge. That'll take me here, which I don't want to do, so I'm gonna go this way.
Good morning, Sam.
You prayed for dry weather. Right. I sure did. It wasn't raining here before. That's not where I want to go. That's not where I want to go. Is it this way? What is this? What is this supposed to be? Is the thing that I built still there? Or is it gone because I died? Why is it raining?
I wonder if anyone's watching.
Oh, okay. Now it's not raining. It was just raining back there. Since it's on sale right now, hopefully it'll take them a while to get to where I am. Actually, maybe not because that guy's car is gone. Okay. Maybe that means I'm in a different instance. Let's build that charging station because I need it. I wonder if I can reach edge of the water. That way I'll still be charging as I go all the way through. I'll wait for it to finish and then we're gonna save.
Come on, come on.
Come on, come on. What places should we?
Construction complete.
Yeah. Is dismount. Got it. Okay. Do you see this? 1,000 likes. 1,000 likes for that. Okay. saved. We've saved twice, just in case. Like me when I spam Control S when I'm drawing. Alright. Are you ready? Yep. No collision. Nothing to collide with. I think we went this way. This looks familiar. And then we went that way. There was like a lot of things to collide with, I guess. That. So just drive rails. Did that count? I definitely collided with something there. But it didn't. What do you mean? It's just giving it to me for no reason now. I'm driving so slow. It couldn't possibly count as an impact. It's messing with me. Did I go this way?
Easy.
Okay, just a bump in the road. Okay. Okay. Where to not collide?
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges.
Yay!
ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons decontaminating suit. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
And then I crash right here. I'm here, you losers. Why do the lights blink? That doesn't... How much damage?
Delivery complete. Displaying performance evaluation.
6! That's how much it was earlier! Before it randomly decided to explode. Goodness! You see you running back and forth. I feel like it would have been faster the first time. Skilled courier, thanks.
The hell do you think you're doing, Bridges? That network you're building is carrying some nasty stuff. Stuff nobody would want anywhere near them. I thought you people would have figured that out by now. We want no part of your chiral network or the UCA.
What?
That voice. Is that you, Mama? You hit your head there, Mama?
I'm not yours, and yours is no kind of mother.
All right. Enough games, Mama.
I don't think you heard me, mister. Mountain Knot City is telling you and the UCA to take a hike. You people keep doing what you're doing, and you're gonna put us right back on the road to the death
hydrate.
We didn't ask
totally
for
forgot
you
about
to
my
come and
tea.
tell us how to live our lives. We'll decide that for ourselves, thank you very much. All we want from you is the occasional delivery. Nothing else.
So you speak for the city.
That's right. I'm in charge. The name's Lochner.
Lochner?
That's familiar.
Hold up, I need to talk to you. You're a technician, right?
Look, go home and don't come back.
Listen to me, damn it. I need your help.
Well, we don't need yours, Bridges. You're only making things worse.
Listen to me! So rude.
Sorry you had to deal with that, Sam. She's the boss over there, and she's not afraid to lay down the law. We need her, and we need her people. We've lost too many others as it is. Without Mountain Knot
She's like,
City,
don't
the
call me
Chiral
mama.
Network and the UCA will never be complete.
What now?
So, here's the thing. Sam, Lochner is Mama's twin sister. Former Bridges 1.
Just rolled my
Went
eyes.
west with the others. Second group, just like Mama. Mama's not her real name, of course. That'd be Malingen. Both have dooms and both are scientific geniuses. Mama's primary field of expertise is applied physics. Lochner's is theoretical.
I forgot her real
Mama
name.
designed the Cupid hardware. Lochner, the software. They said they could converse over any distance. Said they had a special bond that led them. I don't know how that's possible, but I'll tell you this.
Okay.
There wouldn't be a chiral network without them. They were so close that some said they were like one person in two bodies. Might be why they were able to develop the Cupid. But they had a falling out after Molingen's accident. Lochner left Bridges and cut off all contact with us. I don't know what happened between them. But if we don't bring Lochner around, our plans to make America whole again are finished. Not that I'm asking you to stick your nose in their personal business. Though if you did, it might help us figure out how to bring Lochner around.
I bet
Which
she
would
doesn't
be
like
great,
baby.
because our plans to make America whole again are finished without her. In the meantime, if you've got any bright
Make
ideas,
America whole again.
feel free to give them a shot.
Good work.
Would you speak to Mama for me? Yet another earnest and for pizza. Okay, that means I have to go all the way back though. Oops. Peter Englert. My dear Mr. Sam Bridges, 'tis I, your most devoted admirer and obedient servant, Peter Englert. You are doubtless aware of the momentous occasion which demands celebration this very day. Surely not, of course, for I would be shocked if you knew that it marks another year since the joining of myself and my beloved wife in the bonds of holy matrimony. As you may suspect, there is only one way in which we would commemorate the birth of our union. Pizza. You will not begrudge me my continued impudence, I hope. But how could you? It is only natural that for our sacred anniversary, I would seek to procure one of the incomparable pies only you can provide. I say one. But could we be so bold as to impose upon you for two? And if they could be topped with Gouda cheese, that would be magical. They should be waiting for you at the Timefall Farmers Shelter. They provided the wheat for the dough, and I do believe they've taken the liberty of tossing in a bottle of their oh, that's so far. Magnificent beer to boot. Thanks as ever. You really are a saint. That's so far. The farm? It's like south all the way. Would you speak to Mama for me? Good news, Sam. That antimatter bomb should stop the tar from spreading. Thanks for that. You really saved our bacon. Wait, this Mountain Knot City said that? I wasn't able to connect the Cupid though. Lochner stepped in to stop me. She might not be in Bridges anymore, but she still calls the shots around here. Wasn't much I could do after that. It's not like I could ignore her. You know, she's changed a lot ever since Mama got caught up in all that terrorism stuff. Stands to reason, of course, with their relationship. Still, even if it's not my place, I gotta ask, could you go and talk to Mama about it? I've got a feeling they could patch things up if they just started speaking to each other again. If you do decide to go, check your private locker. I left you some extra supplies. Should help you get to Mama's lab safe and sound. Thanks again. So, we have to go back anyway. Alright. Memory chip. Oh, I haven't given it. Okay. Nothing I can do while I'm here? I can't. Boots! Level 3! What do I have? What am I wearing? I'm still good, but maybe I can put it in my boot clip. I can have 2 pairs. A bola gun, climbing anchor, ladder. Do I need that? I have some in my... I have some in my truck. I think I'm good. Please let me join your network. Join my network, please. Oh, it's so dark in here. So dark and spooky. Alright, we have to go all the way back.
Have a pleasant journey.
All you need is your trusty truck. Whoa. Cool. What is this? Now you can crash into everything. Yeah!
Weapons restrictions lifted.
I don't want to touch that. Neither male, even BTs have weak spots. Hello? Hello? Let me in. Please. Oh gosh. Was this almost a crater or something? I wonder if she's like, ever since you had your baby, our connection is gone or whatever.
Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. All clear.
That's a lot of material.
Sam's Porter Bridges.
Since we're going back, I'm gonna save my ceramics for that road. Let me in. But what if it tastes good? The tar? The tar?
Weapons restrictions left. Beginning scan. Scanning bridges.
Okay.
ID.
Maybe if we follow this road, we'll
ID.
see where the route we were
All weapons will
supposed to
remain
go.
locked until departure. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Weather station. No, thank you. You know what? It's fine. We're gonna go this way. This is the route we took to get here, so it should be the route we take to get that. Right. I don't want to go to where the brain is. Surely this is the way. It's so cloudy up here. The good thing I didn't take this route. Jump. It's telling me to jump. Who am I to say no? I am but a humble porter. Whoops. I ran it over. What do you mean? There's nothing here. Man. That conveniently placed. I have to go all the way back. I may as well pick up some jobs, right?
Charged up.
Distribution center. Nah, small. I want a big one. Please don't play music. Oh my god. Oh. easier path that I don't know of? Can I just go that way? You think? Nah. No. It wouldn't do that to me. I'm going the correct way, of course, obviously. That is the symbol for BTs. Why is there a symbol for BTs? Hey y'all, just passing through. Are they still not? They're still knocked out. Lovely. So this should be easy for us to get back. Like that. It's not gonna scan us, right? Because they're all asleep. Do your audio magic again? Why, is this working now? Shall I take all of these materials? Mayhaps? Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I can't tell if it breaks or when it breaks. What is this? A machine gun? You're joking. Why do you guys have that? They mostly have like special alloys, but I need ceramics. I think special alloys is like mainly for... Maybe I need chemicals too. The special alloys is for like the bases, right? Like the... They're all still leaking. Nobody wake up.
Tiny mode.
I don't remember if there's anything in that. Can I see from here? No. Cannot. Oh well. I wonder if it's instances that I'm going into, because when I died and came back, that truck wasn't there anymore, so I wonder if there's like different like servers, maybe? And each one has like different builds. No metagaming? What? What do you mean? What did I do? Let's go back. I think there was something big around here. Nope, just small stuff. Signed by me, novelist's son. Where would that be? Curious. I want to know where the novelist's son is. If I pick this up, will it show me? It's in orders, right? Oh. How do I know where to go? Ooh. I wonder if they'll join the network. Let's go there.
Come on, let's roll.
Let's go there. While these guys are still knocked out. Oh, I'm already here, actually. Huh. This way? No. Where do I go? It's just a straight line there. Surely this is safe. Can I build this road? I likely could. I think they're across this river lake thing, so I'm gonna go this way. Looks like it's gonna rain where he's at.
What can't you do?
So scary. These sounds. Are we still in the network? Oh, well, that answers that. Oh, my battery. Jeez. We might have to call it when we get there. What is that? Is that a river? It is. It's a small one at least. I have no quests for this area. Hopefully they'll still...
Okay, there you go, speed demon.
Do you think they'll still join, or do we need a quest?
Begin scan. Scanning Bridges ID.
Hey, buddy.
Express ID.
I have stuff for
Weapons
you.
detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. Cargo verified. Thank you.
Take delivery, lost cargo, take it. Organic fertilizer. I heard you needed this.
Delivering cargo.
Well, I'll be. You actually made it. Folks
Hi.
far out as me can't always depend on porters, you know. This is pretty good. Better than good.
Would you like to join the network? Too late.
Much obliged to you, friend.
Would you like to join the network?
Good work. New order available.
Standard orders? I'm going there anyway. Tabletop role-playing game. Oh, premium delivery. I can do it really fast, probably. 20% quantity 3 or more. Yeah, sure. I didn't read any of the... Put it in the truck.
Order assigned.
Leave it to me! And then my truck breaks down.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Okay. Watch this. Super fast Ellie Porter Bridges delivery service. Delivering all your tabletop needs. Oh. Oh. Still good, still good. There's no timer. The battery is running out. I'm gonna go this way. Because I don't know if that means I have to cross the river over there. But if I take this route, I can make it. But if I go through the river, I might not make it. And I'd have to run. Back in the network. Lords keep evil at bay. Huh? Gourd. Isn't that like a pumpkin? Look, buddy, I just delivered fertilizer to your door. I didn't ask to be your friend.
Good morning, Sam. Have a pleasant journey. Beginning scan.
What is that, though?
Scanning Bridges ID.
We
Verifying
made
ID.
it.
Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure.
All weapons will be
verified.
locked until
Thank you.
departure.
Decontaminating suit. Battery low. Please charge vehicle.
Do they charge my vehicle when I go in? Deliver. Take your games, nerds. Even at the end of the world, you have time for D&D.
Hey, Sam. You made it, huh? That's a relief. Cargo's in perfect condition. Looks like this is our lucky day.
Do we get extra? Maybe our win score will go up finally. Did it? Delivery time 11. I think it went up.
Watch your back out there. No one else will.
No one else will. That's so sad.
Good work. New order.
Delivery, memory chip data, yes.
Isn't this what Mama wanted? Given the circumstances, I suppose I should look after it. Assuming that's all right with you. I'm, sure she would have appreciated the gesture, Sam.
What was it? Kawasaki. Another motorcycle.
Thank you for your contribution.
Take on orders? Well, we have to go there anyway. Timefall Farm? Oh, it's heavy too. Soil? Muscle stimulating food. I want to do this, but likely, because we have to do the pizza stuff, likely when we get back. I think, should I stream Little Witch of the Woods on Wednesdays? Or should I put Death Stranding on hold and then do Little Witch of the Woods? Or finish Death Stranding and then start other games? Yeah. So much to do. So little time. What we are going to do, we could mix. That's the thing, if I upload a VOD to YouTube, I can only select one game. So I would have to like end stream and start stream again if I choose a new one. You know? Enter private room.
Your work is greatly appreciated.
I remember looking dirty, which means pressing one button twice. What? What? Oh. Oh. Lights turn on? Lights turn on? Okay.
Good morning, Sam. Blood collection complete. Thank you for your
He's
generosity.
bloody! Okay. Married life, not what I expected. This guy just keeps complaining. Be happy! This guy's pissing me off. Hold on, 4. Let's see what he has to say. Oops. Married life, not what I expected. Oh, it's the artist. Never mind. Dear Sam, did you finally meet up with Amelie yet? I hope she lives up to your memory of her when you finally do. I didn't get so lucky in that respect. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't live with him anymore. I went back to my mom's. It was terrifying making the trip on my own, but I watched the weather patterns for days and made it just barely. Maybe I should have asked for help, but I couldn't bear to wait any longer. For your sake, I hope yours and Amelie's story has a happier ending. Girl. She's like, this guy sucks. I'm going home. The novelist's son, Gourds keep evil at bay. Mr. Sam Bridges, thank you so much for bringing that cargo all the way out here. I must say, I didn't think I'd ever get the chance to meet the man I'd heard so much about. I respect your mission to try and rebuild America of yore. Though I can't say it's got anything to do with me. Frankly, I'm not even sure if I agree with it in principle. I really am grateful though. Thanks to you, my life's work is back on track. My beloved gourds are looking more healthy and lively than ever. Admittedly, the ideal climate for gourds would be warmer than what we've got here, but I've managed well enough in all things considered. I hope my father would be proud, though he made a living as a novelist. Isn't there one that's a novelist? He was also something of a gourd enthusiast. I felt compelled to carry on his legacy one way or another, and since I'm no wordsmith, I really only had one choice. You know, I read somewhere that gourds used to be considered very lucky in the Far East, and that they're used as charms to ward off evil. Kind of like that dream catcher of yours, come to think of it. Charles Khan. People think Bridges are terrorists. Hope you're kicking ass and taking names, Sam. We heard HQ suspects the whole Central Knot Void Out thing might have been terrorism. Kinda blew my mind to think they're hitting the East Coast already. Things have been getting worse out here, too. It was way quieter in this neck of the woods when we first showed up, that's for sure. Back then, it didn't matter what breed of crazy they were. Separatists, isolationists, leave them alone-tarians, whatever. You could at least get them to sit down and talk. Now it's blow shit up first, ask questions later. All cause some folks got it in their heads that Bridges and the UCA are the real baddies. Not that I'm saying we shouldn't keep trying to speak sense to these guys. If we don't, we'll be stuck beating each other over the head with bigger and bigger sticks till the world's covered in craters. But on top of everything, now we've got these demons, wackos, and their wacko-in-chief Higgs to deal with. Not that he was always a total Fruit Loop. Used to be a porter, ran his own outfit hereabouts. And then the postmaster went postal. Don't ask me how or why. I don't think even he could tell you. End of the day, only way forward is with each other, hand in hand with our fellow man. That's what the UCA is all about, am I right? Even BTs have weak spots. Oh, hey, it's this guy. I know you're probably doing just fine out there without any help, but you're going to want to hear this, trust me. Remember that big BT you faced off over at Port Knot City? The one with the gold mask-like thing? I don't remember. Well, I reckon that mask might be just pointing you towards its weak point. Strange, I know, but true. See, when I heard that a BT had done in Igor, I started doing some investigating. I mean, I wasn't about to just forgive and forget, you know? Anyway, here's the gist of it. Large quantities of concentrated chiralium take on a golden color. In other words, if you see that golden glow, there's likely to be some major power source nearby. And places like that must be vulnerable to attack, right? Probably light up like a Christmas tree with a few well-aimed slugs. Anyway, I think it's the same deal with that BT. Give it a whack around the chops and you'll see some fireworks, I'm sure of it. I mean, I guess it's not rocket science. Shoot into the mouth and there's always a chance you'll hit some internal organ. And that's gotta hurt. So yeah, long story short, focus your firepower on that golden mask. I'm counting on you, Sam. So he's not sure, and he's just like, hey, do this and it'll be really good. But what if it isn't? Kawasaki! An export-oriented model created by Kawasaki in 1972. with the aim of capturing the foreign markets. It was the first Kawasaki and indeed the first Japanese bike to use the DOHC 903 air-cooled inline 4-cylinder engine. That's, yep. Yep. And its ferocious speed made it the undisputed king of the highway. It was also admired for its beautiful design, with the pipes leaving the gas tank and pushing back through the side covers to the tail section. It's a model believed of porters chasing the fastest speeds possible, having established Kawasaki as the go-to for full throttle riding as it did. But all of our bikes look the same. With this? With this pipe? Oh. I see it. Shoot the demigod in the face. Is it the thing? Like the big thing? Or is it the one that looks like a tiger kind of thing? You know? Which one? What are they talking about? I think that's it for today. Well, guys, that's it for today. I know. I feel like we did good despite, what was that sound? Okay. Just my imagination. We showered, right? Yes, okay. I'm gonna save. Only lost one weapon of mass destruction to terrorists. I didn't expect them to run me over. I really didn't, and then I was fine, but then they kept running me over. Only detonated. And I wasn't hitting anything, it just decided to start taking damage even though I was like lightly tapping against a rock, like... Nope, that counts as a collision apparently. Listen, it's not my fault. It just decided to do that. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to hydrate. I didn't drink any of my tea today. I drank water, but didn't drink any of my tea. I had a lot of fun. We'll see tomorrow what I decide. I have no idea what I'm playing. Should I play more Death Stranding? Or is it time for a new game? I kind of want to finish. I feel like we're close. I feel like we'll finish it by next week, maybe. Maybe. I am pretty slow, reading every single bit of... I am very slow, but I think we're close to the end, maybe. Probably. Then we can save Little Witch for October, right? Spoopy season? Every single motorcycle lore. It's important! Learning about motorcycles. I've never thought about a motorcycle in my life. I didn't know there were so many versions of them. We're learning. Okay. I think I will save Little Witch for October. Until then, I will see you guys tomorrow with more Death Stranding.